Hello, this is my presentation for the Ideal Society for the fifth semester for the English course. Today I'm gonna present you what would be my ideal society, which we will name the American Union. First, I will show you where it would be located. I'll give you the big how it's structured, its economy, what do we produce, what do we distribute. Uh, and then I will show you what an ideal city in my new society would look like. So let's start. First of all, the American Union would comprise the whole American continent, from Alaska, from the Canadian islands, all the way down to Chile, and and of course the actual borders cannot be sustained. So uh, all the borders would be completely redesigned. The American continent would be restructured into the new American Union, and we would use a federal government, a federal state way of government. So every state would have representation in chamber in the central government. So the capital, of course, would be in Panama because that's the center of the continent. So every federal state would need to send a delegation to Panama in order to vote in like budget votes and federal laws. So of course the American Union is a big continent, and there's a lot of farmland and places in order to grow crops and feed our population, which would be almost a billion people. It's not easy to feed a billion people. So a lot of land in the American Union would be used for agriculture. Of course, this agriculture would be managed in the way of cooperatives. So workers' cooperatives, which would produce as much food as we need, and then all the agricultural output would be transferred to the central government and then redistributed by the needs, according to the needs of each federal state. Of course, a great nation cannot survive only on agriculture. That's why the industry would be also a very important aspect of the American Union. Right now, the region of North America is much more industrialized than the region of South and Central America. So one of the first things that the American Union should do is to industrialize the parts of the American continent that have not yet been industrialized in order to assure a, a sustainable industrial output, as well as the agricultural output, the industrial output, and the scientific research would be conducted by the state. So the output would be centralized and then redistributed to the federal states that would, according to their needs. Of course, every factory would not be privately owned. It would be a cooperative, so owned by the workers that work in that cooperative. And as you can see in the picture, it would be we would take advantage of actual technology and just make the workers work easier. Now there is a lot of diversity in cities in the American continent. There are great big mega cities just like New York or Lima or Bogota, as well as there are little smaller cities in rural areas. So we will try to integrate the whole. Try to integrate the whole territory, so no one feels left behind. The big cities would be tried to be preserved according to their social context. So we would not destroy and build completely new cities. We would just enforce some minimal urban design laws. Just like here, you see, we would preserve the architecture proper to the city, but we would introduce like more green spaces and more walking spaces instead uh, of of roads for cars. Of course, the American Union would want for its mega cities to be a public transport friendly city, we would have to restructure cities that were made for cars. For example, Los Angeles, which is inherently made just for a car, and you cannot go anywhere if you don't have a car. We would change that, and we would act environmentally conscious, and we would limit the use of cars in profit of public transport. Of course, in the city, in this big country, that is really a whole continent, we would need a lot of education, of health. It all will be provided by the state. Health, education, and housing. All those would be free for all the citizens of the American Union. Schools would be secular, and housing would be available for every citizen of the American Union. So we would eradicate homelessness. We will eradicate not knowing how to read or write. I would eradicate people who don't have healthcare. Everyone should be covered by healthcare, and it will all be funded by the production and the taxes in our country. Thank you.